I've watched Surviving Paradise and I have thoughts about it, so I'm going to share them with you. If you haven't watched this show, I will explain it, but I will also spoil it. So I will encourage you to still watch it because I think it's still worth watching, even if you know who wins, because I'm going to tell you who wins. Like, it's a really good show. I love reality contest shows. I love them. I think I've watched every single one that Netflix has. I just love them and I think you should watch it. Even if you watched this video before, but just so you know that I'm going to tell who wins and I'm going to spoil everything, because I think what's interesting about this show is that it's about creating alliances and kind of getting along with people, but also being strategic about it, which is kind of tricky because it's really easy to be shady. So this show is basically about a villa and a camp. Kind of half of the people lives in the villa and half of the people live in camp, and conditions in camp are terrible. Like, I was surprised that people were put through that. Like, the contestants, they barely have any food, they couldn't shower, or not really. Like, at the end they show like a guy showering, but they also say that they can't, so I think they kind of figured that out in the process. Just like brushing their teeth, at the beginning they can't, at some point they give them teeth brushes, they have to shit in like a hole, so they want to go to the villa, which is like very luxurious. I can say that word. Luxury. It's really fancy. It's a really nice place with these two pools and like a lot of food, and they're really comfortable there. The way you can go to the villa is if everyone votes for you to go to the villa, but like everyone else also wants to go to the villa, so it's like they have to vote for me instead of voting for this other person. And it's really interesting because it's like, yes, you want to get along with people, so they vote for you so you get into the villa, but at the same time, if you're constantly selfless, it doesn't really work. Like, some of the people were so nice and kind, they got eliminated because of that, because they were like, no, you deserve the place in the villa, you deserve the spot, and so they went to camp and they were eliminated. At the end, there's $200,000 prize. You have to be in the villa to get that. That's why you want to be in the villa, but at the same time you want to tell everyone else, oh no, you should go, I'll vote for you, so you go there and then you help me get there. Like, it's really tricky. I think it's really interesting as a social experiment, if you will, which I love. That's why I love this type of reality contest, because like you can watch, I don't know, Too Hot to Handle, and it's like you can watch it, like, no shade, but it's pure entertainment, so you know that you're just watching it because that. I love, for instance, Singer's Inferno, which is like a Korean show about this. It's kind of similar because you also live in a camp and you go to paradise, but it's about being in love with people, like finding your partner, so it's different, but it's kind of also the same vibes. And I love this show too, but that's just pure entertainment. Like, you kind of learn about human interactions and human relationships too, but for the most part it's just like who's gonna end up with who, and that's pretty much it. But with this, it's really interesting because you see very different personalities, and that's what I want to talk about, because there's this one person that when I saw them for the first time, they were showing people arriving, and I just kept thinking, these are mostly just rich kids and they all kind of seem really shallow, and like my first impressions of majority of them wasn't that good, because I just thought they were these superficial kids that already have money. So I'm like, why are you in this show? You don't need to win the prize because you already have money. And then these three people arrive: Tabitha, Aaron, and Justin. First of all, hottest people in the villa. Oh my god, like Aaron and Justin. Are you kidding me? Where can I find men like that? Like, that's my question. But I even thought that about Tabitha. I'm like, okay, they're cute, I like them. And then they became the worst person in the villa, and I was like, oh, I don't like them anymore. I don't think I do. And this is the thing. They started this tragedy. They wanted to form alliance, like the Tash team, and they were like Tabitha, Aaron, and Justin. They were like a team of some sorts, and then they started trying to get everyone to trust them, but in a very shady way. It wasn't just like being nice to them, but actually proposing more alliances, and they were like, no, I will choose you over Aaron and Justin, even though I told them already that I have an alliance with them. So that was like, oh, so your word means nothing. Like, that was we were getting from watching the show. And also there's this moment where I completely lost interest in them. Tabitha was talking with this guy Coban. Coban is like the most enthusiastic man I've ever seen. Like, he's the most optimistic and positive person ever. Like, Coban and I are like this. We go way back. I love Coban. I think he's the nicest person I've ever seen in my life. I'm not joking. Like, I think throughout the show, like, you can tell from the beginning that he's like that, but also throughout the show, you just can really tell how good of a person he is. Like, he's just such a kind soul. And he was talking about his job and like his life, really. Like, Tabitha was asking him about everything in his life, and then they cut to Tabitha talking to the camera alone, and they were like, I hope he trusts me now and we form an alliance, because this will be for nothing. They meant it, like, they said it in a way that made us think that Coban was being annoying, that they didn't care at all about what Coban was talking about, and he was just talking about his life and his job. And I was like, so you don't care at all, just like a person? Because this is not about the show anymore. He trusts Tabitha. Like, he says, no, I think he started hearing these things about them. Everyone is like, I don't know if I trust them anymore. Like, Justin and Aaron, they wanted to trust them because they formed an alliance at the beginning, but then they're like, I don't know if I trust them anymore because more people keep talking shit about them. They're telling me these terrible things about Tabitha. Like, I don't know if I can trust them anymore because there are so many stories, like bad stories about them, that I just can't trust them. And Coban was like, no, I still trust them 100%. Like, I trust Tabitha. He just ends the show saying that he trusts them. Like, I just want to know the reaction he had when he watched the show and hear Tabitha saying, I don't care about what he's talking about, because for him that meant a lot. Like, that was why he trusts them. He was like, no, Tabitha, like, we bonded. And then Tabitha was like, I don't care at all about this guy. So it's like, dude, this is not about the show anymore. I don't care how much you want the money. I don't think anyone's going to like you anymore, because when I finished the show, which was last night at 12:30 at night, I immediately went to Instagram to find, obviously, Justin and Aaron. I'm sorry, but they're so hot, I can't. But also Taylor and Shay, these two people are starting to have like a relationship in the show, so I wanted to check because I'm nosy as fuck. So I just wanted to check if they're still together. But also, like, they were good people. I think with Taylor I had a bad impression at first because she's just one of those rich kids. Like, Taylor and this guy Alex, they were talking about private jets and flying first class and things like that, and I was like, you don't need the money. Like, you don't deserve to win. I'm sorry. And I like them as people, I like them as contestants, but I'm like, you don't deserve to win because you don't need the money. And there were people like that actually needed the money. So I did have a bad impression about Taylor at first, but then it's like, no, I think she's actually just good. I don't think she deserves to win, but I think she's good. But Shay, I had a bad impression about him as well, because I was like, oh, this is like classic frat boy vibes, like, I'm not going to like him at all. And then he was the most selfless person in the show, which was crazy to watch, because I just thought, because he was flirting with Taylor so much, that I was like, oh, this is all he cares about, and he's just like a fuckboy, frat boy, and that's it. And then he stayed in the camp the longest, and he sacrificed himself 3 times throughout the show. Like, I think he made the most sacrifices, and so I was shocked. But anyway, so I looked them up just to check if they were together. I don't think so, spoiler alert, I think they're not, but not sure. But the thing is that like I search people that I like, I just search Copan, like what's his Instagram, what he's up to now. I search Hailey, for instance. I think Hailey was another person that was just really good as a person, really sparkly. I think she was a little bit shady sometimes, but like not really. I don't think it was shady, it was that she didn't trust certain people. So, and obviously it gets to a point where you have to be selfish just a little bit to win. If I'm checking them out and seeing what they're up to, and for future Netflix shows and for future job opportunities in the industry, like in the public eye, I don't think anyone wants to see Tabitha again. Like, I don't think so, because there's no way at the end you like them, because they did so many shady things, like the ones that I told you, but like more of them. They said at one point that they were willing to kick out Justin, which was supposed to be their friend and the alliance they had, and they were like, no, I have no problem. And instead of suggesting another person, because they were just talking and someone else said Justin, and Tabitha could have said, oh, I would prefer not to kick out Justin, but this other person we could kick out. Like, they had more options, but Tabitha was like, oh no, I'll kick Justin, I don't care at all. They have done so many bad things, and at the end, like the last episode, they all go there, like they all reunite to decide who wins. They talked to Aaron and Justin, and I was like, oh okay, so because they were eliminated before in the show, like some people get eliminated throughout the show, and then most of them get eliminated at the last second. When they reunite, I was like, oh, they're going to apologize, or they're going to explain like this was a game, so this was just all a strategy. And what Tabitha says is that I was really hurt by you guys because you believe these other people instead of talking to me, and I was like, there's no way, like you can't win the money at this point. This is just not about the game anymore. This is not about the money, because you can't win. You already lost. These other two guys already lost too, so like you had time to think. You had several days to think. The money is not on the line anymore, and instead of apologizing and just look good for the camera and the people you met, you're like, oh, I'm hurt. I think you shouldn't believe these people, when you know you were that shady. You know what I mean? Like, they were that mean, evil person that everyone else was talking about, and instead of acknowledging it and being like, yes, this was a game, I wanted the money, and this was all a strategy, I'm sorry, they were just like, I'm really hurt by you guys. And I was like, there's no way. You're not even apologizing. They're talking shit about someone else, and I was like, there's no way you're this person. Like, this is just not just a game, this is also real life. There's these other people, Lelise and Linda were the ones who won. Linda won, and Linda, by the way, also the nicest person. I think Copan and Linda were the nicest people there. She had the opportunity to split the money with someone else. She chose Lelise, and honestly I get it, because they formed an alliance from day one, and they were like, we're best friends, we're sisters, we're this and that. But honestly, Lelise at one point betrayed her. Linda didn't care, and at some other point, like, they had to choose which one of them will go back to camp, and Linda went to camp. They said this, the other contestants said this. Lelise is not as bad as Tabitha, obviously. Her strategy sometimes was too harsh, in my opinion, and like Linda sacrificed herself a lot for Lelise, and Lelise never sacrificed herself for anyone else, literally. That she was like, no, these are my people, I want to protect them. And I don't doubt that she genuinely care about those people and love them, because you can tell that she did. But at the same time, it's like you care way more about the money, which I get, because this is another thing. Like I said, some people really need the money and think Lelise needed it because she wanted to help her dad, who was sick. So it's like, I'm not upset that she got the money, because I think she needs it. But at the same time, I don't know if she fully deserves this. Linda really deserved the money. She was the second most vote, I think Linda should have split the money with Shay, which I know she wouldn't because they didn't have any type of alliance or friendship or anything at all. And so obviously Linda was going to share it with Lelise. Like I saw that coming, I knew that. But like I was thinking it would be way more fair. So it's like, yes, the person who was the nicest and the one that sacrificed herself a lot and she was really kind to everyone, yes, that's the person who won. But also someone that was a bit shady and too strategic sometimes and like prioritizing her strategy over her people, she also won. And I'm not super upset about it because I don't think she's a bad person. I think Tabitha is a really bad person. I don't think Lelise was a bad person. I think she just really needed the money and she wasn't that bad. But also like there were other people that were way better than her. So it's like, it's a confusing learning experience for me just to see this social experiment and how you should behave in life, which is I think the end goal of this show, like how we should proceed in life when privilege and when we have privilege, when other people doesn't, like this type of building connection type of thing. I think it was really interesting because it's like, I can tell you that Linda, Aaron, Copan, Shay were better people than Lelise, but she had a better strategy, but at the same time she didn't win. So it's like, it's a bittersweet moment and I'm not completely against her, but also I think there were other people that deserved this more. So it's kind of like tricky. I think that's why I like this show. I think it makes you think who deserves the money the most, because it's like who was the nicest and the ones that sacrifice themselves the most, but also who really needs it. Because like I said, Shay sacrificed himself a lot, but also he just wanted to pay for his sister's wedding, which is like, I don't care. Like they're saying my dad is sick, like Lelise and Aaron wanted to help their dads because they're sick, so obviously I'm going to want them to win more. And Linda, even Linda, I think I'm so glad she won because first of all, again, she deserves it. Like she was really nice with everyone. She wanted to create this organization for women and like she wanted to use it for something good. I'm so glad that Linda won. I'm not that glad that she split it with Lelise, but at the same time it's like she needs it. I get that her strategy was a bit harsher because she really needed the money, so like deep down I do get it. Tabitha sucks. Gabe also sucks. Didn't mention him because I don't really care about him and he didn't win or anything, but also he sucks. I think the learning experience was that you can be just a little bit strategic in life, but if you're completely shady, people are just going to see through you because everyone knew that Tabitha was just like a terrible person. And same thing with Gabe, no one would vote for him. Like he got to be a finalist, but he knew that no one was going to vote for him. So it's like, yes, you are a finalist, but you know you're not going to win. Like you will be the last person to win. So anyways, let me know in the comments what you thought about the show, if you've watched it or if you just heard me talk about it. Just let me know what you think. Recommend me more shows please, because I love them and I think I've watched them all, but just in case I haven't. And if you want me to talk about another show that I've watched before or something else, like what you want me to talk about, to react to, anything you want, let me know in the comments. And please do subscribe because it's free and you can change your mind anytime. Have a nice week.